Good morning, this is Rachel, and welcome to another edition of Ask Cascadia Live. Today we are answering questions about some TOS questions, Project Zero, some issues with sourcing from China, among other things. A couple of announcements. If you haven't already, please remember to register for the Relentless Woman, the virtual conference for entrepreneurial women in e-commerce. Dates are June 18th through June 20th. Attendance is 100% free, so we would be so excited if you would claim your seat at www.relentlesswoman.net. Good morning, Kathy. Also, sneak peek, tomorrow is Cascadia's 4th birthday, which is pretty darn exciting. So we have a pretty amazing gift for you guys. So keep an eye on your inbox tomorrow, May 30th. So that'll be exciting. And now on to your questions. If you have any throughout today's sessions, please post them below and we will answer as we go along. And if you're watching the replay, please type in replay with any questions or comments that you have so that we know to go back and respond to those. Okay? Good morning, Carrie. Okay. First, is it against TOS to have two seller accounts with the same name that both sell the same ASIN? The detail page says two sellers, but they're both the same company. I understand Amazon will give permission to have two accounts, but if you get permission, can both accounts sell the same products? If you have a listing that you're looking at and there are two offerings of the same product from the same company, you may want to look at how those are shipped, because typically that means they have an FBA offer and a merchant fulfilled offer, not that they actually have two separate accounts with exactly the same name and so on selling the same ASIN. So there's a difference between an ASIN and a listing, and a seller can have two listings against the same ASIN. So that is okay as long as you have FBA and merchant fulfilled. That's totally fine. Amazon doesn't have a problem with that. If you are the same company and the same ASIN, then no, you can't have two accounts because the buy box is shared evenly amongst accounts. So if that happens, then you'll end up getting twice as much buy box. Okay. Next is, I own a supplement company and the main image of my bottles are 1,000 by 1,000. My main image looks a lot smaller than most others. What size do you recommend so my main image can look as big as possible? Yeah, so there's this weird thing that happens if you have old encoding on your pictures. This is something that I'm actually going to ask one of my team members to respond to in the written group, because there's some weird stuff that happens depending on how you save images. We've had problems with images being flipped, with images being too small, with thumbnails showing, a whole bunch of stuff. And it's because Amazon's encoding for images is old. Like it's not updated. So like if you are updating something to Facebook, or if you're updating something to like Flickr, you're going to have a much better user experience than updating it to Amazon, which I know all of you know, having done this before. But there's something funky about the encoding to where if you use certain types of images, it will either resize it automatically for you or it'll flip it to the side and cause problems basically. So I'm going to have David answer that because he knows the exact kind of terminology about the file type, but we have run into this problem, and it's because Amazon's system for managing images is ancient and they have not updated it in a while. I guess updating image systems isn't very sexy. Okay, speaking of sexy jobs, next question, is Project Zero going to be compulsory soon for PL brands? I was trying to hold off till next year since I got enough on my plate right now, but I got a second email from Amazon to enroll since they noticed I did not respond to the first message. What is the best way to respond? Okay, so here's the deal with new projects at Amazon. As I mentioned, some jobs are more sexy than others. And one of the ways to make your job more sexy is to get a big amount of enrollment for something that's a new project, and then demonstrate at the review time that you not only launched a new product, but that X number of sellers signed up and there's tons of interest in it and it's super exciting, etc., etc. I am in no way mocking the corporate approach to deciding if someone is worth keeping around or not. Having had high marks at Amazon for 7 review seasons, I know exactly how the game works and exactly how the steps work. The purpose of those emails is to increase enrollment. And so if you don't want to join, you don't have to. I don't think there's any problem with joining. If you don't do anything, that's not going to hurt anything. But you don't have to join. It's not required. What they're doing is they're trying to make sure that they show that there's a serious pickup rate, that their project got a lot of interest from sellers and that it's moving and things are good. That's the main purpose. And then when you write your review at the end of the year, you can talk about how amazing your project 0 was and how you deserve a promotion. Okay, Marina says, my category doesn't allow variations. I have exactly the same products with the only difference being the color of one part. Can I ask Amazon to merge the listings and make an exception and create variations for this listing? I'm pretty sure I know what category you're in, and yes, we were able to make variations in that category. So you can definitely request that Amazon do that, but that was something that wasn't actually very difficult to do once we talked to Amazon about it. And basically, the variation that we made was in parts. So it was an item that came in either 45 widgets or 65 widgets or 100 widgets or whatever. And so then we got it variated that way. So yeah, you should contact Amazon on that, because I actually think that you could probably pull off a variation even in that category. And if you don't, the best solution, if you can't get a variation going, is to make your comparison chart where you have a link to all of the different products that you want to feature on your enhanced brand content. Make the link there to all of the different products in the comparison chart, make that the thing that's right after the product description. So when someone scrolls down the page, they see your brand name, they see your basic product description, and then immediately they see the list of other products that they could look at, and they can see that there's variations there. That's the only way to handle it if they don't let you do variations, but they should, if it's something that's that connected. Okay, next, I saw recently in the contact us section of a competitor on Amazon that they have their phone number instead of a link to send a message. Is this allowed under TOS? Is this even a good idea? Sometimes when it's better to talk to the customer, in the message I simply write, please do it online, search for a customer service phone of brand X. Yeah, so it's absolutely okay to do a customer service phone number. That is explicitly allowed in TOS. So you can do a customer service phone number or use the Amazon messaging system. Those two are just fine. So that's what Amazon explicitly allows. There's a lot of people who still post their own phone number and their own email in the inserts. You gotta be careful of that. But yeah, it's totally fine to put a phone number there. There are a couple of ways to get phone numbers if you're trying to decide on whether or not to do this. The simplest way is actually to sign up for a light Zendesk account. So Zendesk, Zendesk, is a pretty solid tool that allows you to answer emails or receive phone calls or make phone calls directly from their app. And you can do you can have a voicemail that comes in, and you can answer emails. Like, you don't even have to answer the phone for only like $8 a month. Like, it's really cheap. So something like that is completely reasonable to do, and you can put a phone number on there. And in the voicemail of the phone, you can say, thank you so much for calling. We're not available right now, but please write us at blah, blah, blah. And then you can take the customer service out of Amazon's hands. They don't check the numbers, but just keep that in mind if you're trying to decide how you're going to be handling your customer service, is that phone numbers are completely fine. But sending them to another email to contact you is generally not considered fine. Okay. All right. Next question. I'm a private label seller sourcing my products from China. A few of my recent shipments are not fully received, but the shipment status changed to closed with tens of units missing. Under the reconcile tab of the shipment, when I select the option missing, please research, it asks me to upload a proof of purchase invoice. My question is, do I submit an invoice only for the SKU with the missing units, or do I submit an invoice for all the SKUs in this shipment. Okay, so most of the time you have one invoice and it either has the stuff on it or it doesn't. So it sounds like there may be some efforts to make an invoice here as opposed to using the available invoices that are available to this person. All they're really trying to do is make sure that you're not making up the numbers that you have. They're just trying to make sure that that number is accurate, because there's no other real way for them to make sure that it's accurate. So make sure it looks like a real invoice. Like, don't send in an actual Excel thing because then it looks like somebody made it up. I know that the Chinese-based companies will often just send you an Excel-based invoice, but doing it that way definitely looks a little bit more fake. So that's the only thing that they're checking for, is they're wanting to make sure that whatever they reimburse you for is accurate. So just make sure that the invoice looks like a real invoice so that they can trust it. Tony says, I noticed in the EBC comparison chart, I can add even non-PL branded products to the chart. Is that a good idea? Only if you have permission. So you can add somebody else's trademark product to your page. As soon as you do that, then you could be in hot water for a trademark violation. Now, most people won't be annoyed if you're featuring their product on your page, because that's another potential source of traffic for them. Through basically Amazon backlinks is the best way to call them. So most people will be fine with it, but I would want to get permission first. So, say if you have a particular outfit you're putting together for lifestyle photography, you can put all the pieces together in a link below it and see what happens. That's completely reasonable. But yeah, that's the thing that would be a little bit iffy. We actually have done that for a client where we put comparisons out there, but they got explicit permission from the other brands first. Okay, next. When you do a flash sale or something of the sort, does each sale still count towards the Amazon ranking algorithm? I want to get my product a mini launch boost, and apart from just losing my price, I want customers to see the lowered price as a deal. What's the best approach for this action? Yeah, so Amazon no longer does that nice little strike through and then shows that there's a deal. Best deals doesn't show there's a deal. Sales off don't show there's a deal. I'm not sure if there's any of them that show a deal anymore. There was one that I saw recently that was showing a deal, but I wasn't sure which type it was that was resulting in that. But it's just not something that they really do anymore, because they don't want to show that they have the best prices ever. So the only thing that really shows that you have a significant deal going on in a really obvious way is coupons. And you want to be careful with that, because you end up paying an extra 60 cents per coupon. So you want to make sure that it's something that you actually want to do. Like, this is definitely something I want to make a big discount and really focus on it. But one thing that's cool about the deals is that you end up in the deals of the day section on Amazon. They have coupons, promotions, sales, deals of the day, lightning deals, all on the left-hand side. So people who are into deals can go find them. As far as seeing the lowered price as a deal, the coupon is the most obvious choice. Any sort of discount will end up in that deal page. So keep that in mind, that any of the discounts will end up on the deal page, and someone who's looking for a deal will be able to find it, but it won't show just to regular search, if that makes sense. Okay, Carrie asks, I have a new item that was removed by compliance because it's made of pine wood, but they think it's composite. Okay. It's been 7 days. I've received no notification of why it was pulled or response to the customs forms and the invoice I've submitted to them proving it's natural wood. I call every day and they say I just need to wait. Is there anything more I can do? You can escalate, and that could get a faster response. The thing is, you're waiting for a response from restricted products. Restricted products is a giant pain in the butt to deal with. I'm dealing with it for a client right now who's selling a homeopathic product. And there is only one kind of homeopathic banned, and that's homeopathic teething biscuits. And they're like, homeopathic products are banned. No, they're not. So there's just been a lot of back and forth on that. It's the same exact thing. So you can escalate, and we would recommend escalating to ESR, which, if I recall correctly, and if you get a bounce, then tell me. But it should be esr-support@amazon.com, and that should send your case directly to ESR. But I would definitely write to ESR because the problem is that the restricted products team, they consider a good turnaround to a case, and I am not kidding here. They consider a good turnaround to a case to be a week. And for a long time, they had an SLA in that team in Seattle of 30 days, which is horrible. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease here. I would definitely contact ESR, especially if you've been waiting for a little while. Okay. When relisting your product after being out of stock, how likely is it to shoot straight back to the top spot you were before selling out? I've currently been way back on page 17 for my main keyword and wondered if Amazon's algorithm takes into account how your product did before selling out. Not really. So what I've seen typically is that if you were doing really well before, Amazon will place you back in the positions where you were. But if you don't immediately keep doing as well as you were before when you get back into stock, then you are not going to maintain that spot. So if you were out of stock for a while, you need to come in at a screaming good deal with maybe a coupon as well, like a nice little thing that says 10% off or $5 off or whatever, because you need to maintain that rank for Amazon to keep you there. So if you've been out of stock for say 3 or 4 weeks, when you come back in, make sure you're already at a nice discount compared to the comps for your product, and that you've got a coupon, and just really try to push that conversion. Make sure you're advertising, like treat it like a launch, because it really is. You already have the rank for all those products, and so Amazon will put you out there. But if for whatever reason you don't do as well as you did before, they will turn you off for those keywords. So you want to make sure that if you're coming back into stock after a long time out of stock, treat it like a launch, treat it like something that you need to really push and really jump back into. Okay. All right. I have a private label product that I launched in PE bag packaging about a year ago. The product is doing reasonably well, and I'm thinking of changing the packaging to a box that are logo and instructions on it. Does Amazon take issue with changing packaging of an existing ASIN, especially if the old ASIN stock with PE bag has not run out? Any advice would be appreciated. Yeah, so if you aren't in a category or product type that requires subscribe and save enrollment by SKU, I highly suggest making a new SKU of the same ASIN. So you just do add a product, put in your ASIN, and then you put in a new SKU. And then that way you can submit it to Amazon with the new packaging, and then make that one inactive while the old packaging sells through. And then you know what was the old packaging and what was the new packaging, rather than using the same FN SKU. Otherwise, you don't know which was from which or which one was the other, and that can be a little bit problematic in terms of making sure that the customers are getting what they expect. Because especially if you've got nice packaging that you want to put pictures of, then you want to make sure that you've got a nice picture of that, but you don't want to add that picture until only that nice packaging is available. Okay. Marina asks, does closing listings work for out of stock, or is it a myth? It's a myth. The whole thing is a myth. The reason why people can jump back in and be successful, some people are like, oh, I went back on and I was completely successful, blah, blah, blah. It's because when they went back in, they ranked the same for those keywords. So either their price was the right price point, or something was the right price point that it showed Amazon that they were good. Because basically the whole thing here is to make sure that Amazon systems know that you will sell. So they'll put you back exactly where you were. As I mentioned, once you get back into stock, you still have the exact ranking that you had before in terms of, this keyword, that keyword, etc. It kind of drops, but as soon as you're back in stock, Amazon will place you in exactly the same spots. Now, if you don't do as well as you did before, then you start dropping like a rock. And I've seen this with so many clients when they come back into stock, where they're kind of slowly dropping because they're out of stock, and slowly, and then they get back into stock and it does like this little bump and then drop. So you really need to make sure that you have discounts. You need to make sure that you've got coupons. You need to make sure you're advertising, so you can really just push that and then kind of drop it back. As soon as you get back into that spot, then slowly raise the price back up over a week. You can draw back on the advertising spend and so on, and kind of draw that back. Really important not to run out of stock if you can help it. Often, when you first launch, you end up running out of stock. That's normal. But just treat when you get back into stock as though you need to launch again. Closing listings to improve account health, is that a myth too? I don't know exactly what kind of account health people are attempting to help by closing listings. The area that I think it's helpful is if you are someone who's selling a lot of like arbitrage sellers often wouldn't delete stuff when they were done selling it, and so they would get warnings, IP infringement warnings for anything that was an open listing on their account. So you can't just have it be inactive. That's still considered open. It needs to be actually deleted off your account for it not to count. So people are getting IP infringements for things they hadn't sold in 2 or 3 years, you know? So that is obviously an account health issue. So that should be, you know, removed. But most people who are selling wholesale or who are selling their own PL, there's no real benefit to deleting listings. The thing that would be helpful is if you don't delete the listing, then it will actually show up in your restock inventory reports. It'll keep showing up in seller, what's the selling coach, whatever. So that can be kind of annoying to have something in there that you're not actually going to be selling, but it doesn't really make any difference. The only thing that it really helps is these IP infringement claims where if it's open at all, then you get warned. How long does it take to get rank again? I see this question a bunch. You know, it really depends on what kind of rank you're talking about. If you're talking about keyword rank, anywhere between 2 months to 4 months to have a solid rank for a mid-range keyword. You can rank pretty quickly for a long tail keyword, ones where, you know, there's 50 to 100 searches a month kind of thing. You can rank really quickly. You just have to get a sale or two and you're already ranking, because if there's only 50 searches a month, a sale or two means that you're ranking pretty highly for that. If you're dealing with a mid-range keyword, it can take, you know, a solid amount of time, say 2 to 4 months to do something. Mid-range keyword in, say, supplements would be something like, let's just have as an example, something like, just looking around to try to, how about long-lasting fire log? I've got a fireplace. So instead of having something like fire log, which is the more common highly trafficked keyword, then you would say something like long-lasting fire log. Something like that would be a longer keyword. Those ones are easier to rank for and take typically a couple months of getting multiple sales. This is why you advertise, right? So you can buy your way into keywords. So, you know, if you're advertising consistently for something for a couple months, and so you're consistently getting specific sales, basically you need to figure out what rank that keyword has in terms of search, and then you can kind of back into how many sales you need with that keyword to be able to rank for it. And often it takes a couple months to have a consistent rank based on your advertising, based on people starting to find you organically. Now, trying to rank for a top line keyword, that's quite a bit harder. We've found that for a lot of our clients, it takes 1 to 2 years to rank for top keywords unless you do some sort of big push. So if you have everyone, you know, you have a giveaway thing where everyone's using Firelog, well, then you might rank for page 1, and then as soon as they stop, you drop back down, right? It takes a while to get that kind of consistent rank, and Amazon always favors long-term performance over short-term performance. Okay. The follow-up question is the meter. Oh, Kathy, no, it does not help your account health meter at all. That doesn't make any difference at all for the closing listings thing. Kara asked, what was the email address to escalate for compliance again, please? So this is the email address to escalate, period, not just compliance, but it is esr-support@amazon.com. If you want to escalate directly to compliance, then you can write to product-compliance@amazon.com instead of going through the cases, and that can sometimes get you a faster response from Amazon than waiting for the case to go through. Tony asks, is a low PPC, PCP or PPC cost a good idea for new product ideas for new products? For example, I pay $1 for bedding, but about 25 cents on furniture. Do you have any furniture clients? Furniture is hard. I find for so many reasons as the product can arrive damaged, no instructions. Yes, we do. We have a couple clients who are in the furniture space, and not indoor furniture. So indoor furniture is a little bit different, but yeah. So for furniture, you do need to make sure that you've got a lot more content. So for most of our furniture items for our client, we actually have instructional videos on how to assemble it on the page or on the storefront. and then we link them to that so that they can find it easily on Amazon. I'm still not following the first part about the costs, because for bedding versus furniture, it's all about competition, right? So there's many fewer furniture sellers than there are bedding sellers, right? So for bedding, it's much easier to get into. You've got a lot of people, I could start selling bedding tomorrow if I wanted to, just talking to a few different factories, getting some leftover and start selling it. Not hard. But for furniture, it's a little bit more difficult just because you have a higher kind of cost to enter that space. So that's just where the costs come from for pay-per-click, which I'm assuming is what you're saying. Let me see if you updated. So the cost per click really just has to do with competition, not product type. So for the other question where it's about, arriving damaged, no instructions and so on, the clients that we work with who do furniture, most of the time, they either are packaging it like in double wall corrugate with corners in there. You really need to test the product packaging to the ISTA 6B, I think it's ISTA 6B Amazon standard, and it's really strict. They are really hard on packaging. So often to pass that, we find that our clients need to have not only double wall corrugate, they'll often need to have support corners. They'll often need to have some sort of wood pulp backing in more risky areas. Like it's an involved process to package for shipping for furniture, but the cost of a return is so high. We had, when I was working at Amazon, we did Strathwood, which was all outdoor furniture. And there was a particular kind of fake wicker love seat type thing that was just absolutely terrible returns. And the original cost of this thing was maybe like $12, and we were selling it for like 90, something like that, which is pretty typical in furniture because of your return rates, your cost of shipping, and so on. So you need to make your money back somehow. And this one had, I think, 60% return rate. Like it was absolutely terrible, no profit whatsoever. And we tested what was happening at the FCs. We tested what was happening in the packaging, and found that what was happening is the FCs, their clamps on the forklifts that go up and grab things, then pull them down. The clamps were too tight, and the fake rattan was breaking. Right? It's fake, right? It's not super tough, and it would just crumple. And so when people got it, it was like crumpled rattan, and they get a replacement. It was still crumpled. They'd be really ticked off. And they'd want a replacement. So we worked on making the packaging so tough that even if the clamp were to pull really tightly, it wouldn't damage the furniture. So it's a pretty involved process to get furniture to ship properly and be functional for Amazon, unfortunately. For Kathy, it is esr-support@amazon.com. Does that answer your question, Tony? Just wanted to make sure that that did answer your question. Okay, so if you have any more questions, then please pop those in right now because we are about done this morning. And just check. So, yep. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed the Q&A, please like the video. Really appreciate it. And if you know anyone who can use this information or who can use joining a live Q&A each week, please invite them to the group. Thank you. One more quick reminder about Relentless Woman. It is happening 100% online, June 18th through the 20th, and get your tickets at www.relentlesswoman.net. And last time I say it, keep an eye on your inbox for the sneak peek tomorrow for our 4th anniversary, which I am super excited about. And it is not BSR support, Christina, it's ESR, escalated seller relations, executive seller relations, excuse me. And they handle the escalations, executive versus escalations. Okay, next week we will see you again for another episode of Ask Cascadia Live. Thank you. Bye.